Basically, liberalism is the life philosophy that believes in compulsion, the act of using force to make your neighbor comply with your way of thinking or behaving. Unchecked, liberalism leads to evils like socialism and communism. Societies in which liberalism thrives typically have powerful federal governments, which make the decisions for the people and try to force the people to comply or face serious consequences. It's exactly the opposite of the Founding Fathers' philosophy that there was only one purpose for a federal level government, and that is to protect the lives and liberties of the people so that they can make whatever decisions, do whatever they want with their lives. That was it. Even when they had written the U.S. Constitution to restrain the growth of the federal government, there were a lot of the Founding Fathers who worried that the U.S. Constitution would not be enough to hold back government. So many of them, including one of my heroes, the Anti-Federalist leader Patrick Henry, they insisted on adding a Bill of Rights as amendments to the Constitution in order for them to support ratification. They wanted to make sure that everyone in the future would understand what the powers of the federal government were, and also what specific things the federal government cannot do under any circumstances. The Bill of Rights states clearly that our government cannot infringe on our inalienable rights. That means our God-given rights. If God gives us our rights, who is government to take them away? When atheists say, let's not acknowledge God, what they're doing is they're taking the source of our rights away from us and saying man is the source of rights. Well, if man can give rights, man can take them away. And that's the danger of kicking God completely out of the understanding of how our society and our government is supposed to work. So these rights that are not supposed to be infringed, they include, but of course are not limited to, the right to say what we want, to do what we want, to go where we want, to participate in whatever activities we want, to worship how we want, and to have the right to express ourselves in religious terminology if we want to, just about anywhere we want without any kind of government persecution. That's a right under the Constitution. We have the right to print what we want, to read what we want, to buy and sell, including things like guns and ammunition. So long as these things that we do not infringe on the rights of other people. It's very simple concept. But as the founders predicted in their own writings of the time, the nature of all governments is to become self-serving and to follow a path that leads to state tyranny. Tyranny that infringes harshly and widely on the inalienable rights of the people. The Constitution was written by the founders under inspiration from God. Don't take it from me, that's what they said. They established a form of government called a constitutional republic. We, here in America, this government of ours was never supposed to be a democracy. The founders hated the concept of a democracy because in a straight democracy, majority rules no matter what. That means that two men can vote against one man on any issue, including issues that are harmful to the man. So, for example, in a democracy, if Farmer Brown and Farmer Smith want to take away Farmer Johnson's land from him, they just have to vote. And when Farmer Johnson loses that vote, because you got the two farmers against one, well, majority rules, that allows the other farmers to take his land and split it between themselves however they want to. That's how a democracy works. Majority rules, end of story. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis exploited the democratic government of Germany to rise to power. Our founders, though, set up something better, a constitutional republic. In that kind of government, it doesn't matter how many people outvote Farmer Johnson. The vote is null and void because he can keep his farm. He has the inalienable right to own property. The Constitution, in fact, directs the federal government to step in and protect the rights Farmer Johnson from these other farmers who are trying to take his land away from him. Liberalism is the philosophy that changed America from being a constitutional republic to the democracy that we are today. Now that we're a democracy, your neighbor can steal your money from you with the support of the government. Here's an example. In a constitutional republic, this guy Jack goes to his neighbor, Bob, and tells Bob, hey, listen, I'm raising money for orphans in Switzerland. And Bob, I want you to donate $20 of your money toward my fundraiser. Well, Bob replies that he doesn't want to contribute money. He gives money to his own causes that he thinks are important. And for whatever reason, he chooses not to give up the $20. And that's the end of the story in a constitutional republic, because Jack has no further recourse. He's not allowed to go steal the money from Bob. He can't compel Bob to give up his $20, even if it's for a good cause, right? Now, if an individual does not have the right to steal, to take money from Bob, then that person lacks the authority to say to his representatives, hey, representative, I don't want to go do the stealing. I want you to do it for me. I want you to go take this money from Bob because, look, I'm doing a good thing. I think that Bob ought to be forced to support whatever it is. Orphans in Switzerland, foreign aid to this country. I think abortion should be legal for everyone, and I want Bob to support that financially. You see, in a constitutional republic, you can't be forced, not by an individual, and certainly not by your government. But let's do this story again. Here's the liberal version of the story. After Bob says, you know, Jack, good idea, but I'm not donating money toward your cause. What Jack does is he rallies others in the neighborhood or wherever, and they go to their congressman and they say, if you don't get Bob to pay this $20, we're going to vote you out of office. And so the politician goes and gets his colleagues and they pass a law. And the law says, Bob, you have to give your $20 to Jack's fundraiser to help the orphans in Switzerland, right? If Bob continues to refuse in violation of that law, the government will come and seize his assets. If he tries, heaven forbid, if Bob tries to defend his own property from the government, you know what's going to happen. They're going to come in guns blazing, SWAT gear, their light armored tanks and all these things. They're going to scare the crap out of everyone in the household, possibly even shoot Bob in the process if he does the dastardly act of going for his own gun to protect himself from these people invading his home and threatening his family. At the very least, Bob's going to go to prison. All because a liberal do-gooder was able to get the government to do his dirty work for him. That's how a democracy works.